Right, some feedback on the recent exam questions you've been working on. This is feedback number 3. Oh, there's a notepad ready to demonstrate something. Let's just go to the CGA that had the exam questions. Starting off with storage, this is marks for jam, meaning should be easy, and those with ICT background did fairly well. I must point out straight away that to transfer 100 kilobytes of word processed documents from one computer to another for speed and ease of use, and because you don't have to take time to burn anything, a USB flash drive is the obvious one. But if you put USB, the examiners give you 0. It is a USB flash drive. USB there are many devices that are USB. Is it a USB mouse? Is it a USB dongle? No, it's a USB flash drive, so say it, otherwise get naught. It's computer science. It's the science of accuracy, I'm afraid. In ICT you might get away with saying USB, but not computing. Fixed internal hard disk drives, well, for portability, obviously not, and for transferability, obviously not. Magnetic tape drives. Now, magnetic tape drives, a lot of you have avoided this as being an option. And I want to say at the outset, I have emailed you, especially if you've never taken ICT, a whole lot of information about magnetic tape drives. They are current technology. They are old technology, but they are currently in use, especially by large organizations. Huge companies that need to back up their data and don't have to worry about retrieval time use magnetic tape drives on massive reels, and I've emailed information about that. So let's move on to our second one. To store a backup of 700 gigabytes of user data stored on a school server. Now, a school server is not going to need instant access all the time. It's just a continuous backup of everything that happens on the school server. So student records, all sorts of data. We don't need to worry too much about overwriting. When it's full up, we'll probably just overwrite with current student data or store the magnetic tape. And yes, the answer is magnetic tape drive or magnetic tape reel. These they used to be called all sorts, zip drives. They used to be big fat cassettes, and you used to pop them into your computer, about 3 in a small to medium-sized company, and they would be backing up twice a day, with the third one replacing the first one on the second day, and so on and so forth. There's a whole process that you in ICT need to learn about concerning the sequence of backup. But we're not going to worry about that at this point. I just want to go through what the answers are. And I'm afraid the answer there is magnetic tape drive, not internal hard drive. Okay, an internal hard drive will be used up, and we need that for other things. Certainly not just all the data that's on a server. Can you imagine worrying about your internal hard drive? So not internal hard drive. And the third answer is, what was it? To produce copies of a software executable for distribution to customers. Well, to produce copies of software, there we go, DVD, and read, of course. Why DVD-R, not WR? Because you don't need to write to an executable file, you just want to execute what's on the disk. I'm horrified that a couple of you put CD instead of DVD. They've given you the options. There's no replacing that kind of, quite frankly, silly mistake. It really is a silly mistake to put CD when they've given you the options. So 6 easy marks there, but sadly many 4, a few 2. Too few 6. The Internet. A company wishes to use the unregistered domain name learncomputing.co.uk for a new website. They use a server which has the public IP FTP address 123.45.67.100. At present, the server only has an operating system and Telnet server software installed. The Telnet server allows the company to connect remotely to and control the server. The company intends to upload files to the server using FTP, File Transfer Protocol. Explain the steps the company will need to take so that a customer using the internet can browse the company's new website. You may wish to make reference to the following in your answer. This is also marks for jam because they're actually giving you hints here and keywords to include. If you do not include those keywords, then something is wrong and you certainly can't expect the full 6 marks. In your answer, you will be assessed on your ability to use good English and to organize your answer clearly and complete sentences using specialist vocabulary where appropriate. Now, the order is not necessary if you can explain yourself well, because to be quite honest, they could be developing their website creation, after they've sorted out registering the domain name. But to help, I've got some slides together that put this in a vague order for you so you can get it into your minds about what to do. Okay, and let's presume you're going to be publishing your website, okay, which essentially involves firstly transferring your web pages to a web server via a secure connection. This typically involves usernames and passwords and then using File Transfer Protocol. But let's look at the next one. Let's have a look at the steps. I've said step 1 would probably be to register your domain name. It's a unique name that the registered company has confirmed as unique and has logged and obviously charged you for. You may want to start creating your web pages, but you will ultimately need a domain registration. A registrar maps the IP to the unique address. So your unique address is in English, it's in text, but the registrar, besides registering and making sure the name is unique, actually maps the IP, the 123.40. whatever IP address to your unique name, your English, sorry, not English necessarily, but your text name. And they do this using IP, Internet Protocol. All right, Internet Protocol includes this process of mapping. That's what Internet Protocol is. A group of people set up a protocol. A protocol means the agreed rules that should be for data exchange. Okay, so these agreed rules were set up, and this is how IP is mapped to your unique address. Hosting. I reckon the next step is then to figure out who's going to host it. Are you going to host it yourself? Even if you are going to host it yourself, you still need to talk to an ISP, an internet service provider, to give you access to the network. And I said the internet service provider helps you gain access to the network. What network? The internet. The internet is a network. It's a massive network of loads of computers. If you are hosting the website, your server will need to have functions or be enabled to be a web server. So once you've installed a web server onto your server, you'll now be able to use a File Transfer Protocol to upload that website onto the server. And then of course we need to make sure we can broadcast that IP address from our server. We need to broadcast it, meaning in a sense publish it onto the network being the internet, so that everybody can see it. The website can then be allocated a root web folder on this web server, so that you can simply store the files in a predefined location, and this is where you'll be FTPing to, File Transfer Protocoling to, this particular root web folder. Step 3, ports are assigned. Now different ports are assigned for different things, and a web server should be set to run on port 80. We call this, it's listened on, this port. What does it listen for? It listens for requests for your website. So essentially you've got a web server, which can be a simple computer, and you've installed a Microsoft Web Server, NTF, whatever on it, and if it's been allocated port 80, it's waiting for people out there to type in your IP address. They're not typing in the IP address, they're typing in the URL, but it has been mapped to an IP address, and that IP address is making a request of your web server to give them the web pages. And they, through their browser, download those web pages. When you use your FTP service to transfer the files onto your web server, that will, it says run on port 20, that will run on port 20. It will run nothing, I hope. Step 4. Now here I've put in step 4 creating the actual web pages written in HTML, or you could mention that it's simply a whole lot of pages that are hyperlinked, or you've used CSS. Cascading style sheets. We don't really go into the language of CSS, but essentially it's a program that manages HTML pages. It manages the layout and how they are presented, and the great thing about cascading style sheets is you change the style on one through CSS, on one page through CSS, and that makes cascading or rippling changes throughout that website. So that's very powerful, because you've got a website of thousands of pages. You think of government websites and government portals that contain thousands of pages of information. You need CSS if you're going to change anything with regards to the actual structure of the page, the layout and the presentation. Even color themes can be changed through CSS. What is CSS? It's a property program. It's a program about changing the properties of a page, such as font even, font style, font size. Can all be done through CSS, and you change it on one page through CSS, and bang, every single page has gone into that new format. Or you don't. You can change individual pages without using CSS, and then there's no effect on the rest of the website. Okay, step 5. We're going to upload these pages now. So we upload to the server files using FTP. We say client, because we could be working on another computer, and in the exam question it said we were using Telnet to remotely contact the web server. So our computer we were working on was the client, and we used FTP to send, if you like, or transfer those files up into the web server. And now, after the DNS records have been propagated around the internet, users will be able to access the website. I've actually made that part of step 6 actually, so I'm going to cut that out of there now, because I've decided there is going to be a 6th step, and that is getting DNS records propagated around the internet. But you, as a web developer or as a company owner of that website, may wish to perform search engine optimization, SEO, to allow users to easily find your site. And that can be increasing the keywords in the meta tags and all the tagged information per page, and of course making sure your content is written well, so that search engines can find you. And those are the 6 steps, with loads of information that will get you loads of marks for that particular exam question. Alright? In your answer you'll be assessed on your ability to use good English, so you shouldn't really bullet point, but I would treat sentence at a time using those points. And certainly I will send you that PowerPoint to learn those 6 points, so you can chop and change them as and when you need to answer stuff about uploading, FTP, protocol, the rest. Generally speaking, you get asked about FTP, web servers, and what Internet Protocol is, and what on earth DNS is, and all the rest of it. And I'm giving you a longer video and presentation on those keywords. This was, once again, marks for jam. If you battle with the math side of Comp 1, but you think you can remember stuff, Comp 2 is for you to get good marks in. What does HTML stand for? Hypertext Markup Language. Used to teach that to you if I taught you in 2nd form and 3rd form. What does CSS stand for? Cascading Style Sheets. It's funny that they haven't asked us more about CSS, but quite frankly, we don't study the language of CSS, but in the textbook you'll see they give you examples of how property elements of a page are changed using CSS. And I'm going to quickly do a little bit of HTML for you. We know that HTML is always starts by announcing itself as HTML, and then we usually have a title in the browser bar, and believe it or not, that tag is called title. There are over 100 basic HTML tags or tag elements, but you do not need to learn all of them. You just need to learn the basic ones, and you need to learn the method or the notation of HTML so that you can figure things out. The exam might throw something slightly new at you, but it will be obvious because every time you open something, you must close it. So that's what I've seen in this particular exam question, is that they were just asking you to open something and close it. And some of you did guess that, so I'm going to say good old hello world in the title. And I'm going to say something in the exam question, top title. When I was developing websites, I never bothered with something called top title. Either it's new, but I still haven't seen the relevance of it. There's a lot of other ways to do these things, but I'm going to say welcome to Hello World. And then we're going to go for an H1, which is heading 1. And I'm going to say Hello World, but I'm going to make sure it's italics. And I'm going to make sure it's bold. And guess what underline is? Now, if I have to close those off, yep, we're going to / it. And of course, this is the end of H1 as well. Does the order matter? Can we do this all in one line? Yes. I'm only pressing return to make it neat and tidy, like a good programmer. We are not programming, we are scripting, but we need to do it like a good programmer so they can be edited later by somebody else in order and by pressing carriage return, but really that does not matter. Have I said enough? Well, I might want to put something in the body. Once again, the body is, well, so be it. Let's use the example in the exam, but whether it's that useful or not, well, I suppose it is, especially if there's a lot of textual content. And we're just going to end it there. HTML. I'll just save that as, there we go, and I'm going to call it HTML.html, and because I've given it the extension of hypertext markup language, it will automatically go to my, let's have a look, HTML, there it is. I don't know if you can see that. Yep, hopefully. Let's make it a little bit easier. There we go. And it automatically picks up my default browser. So I'm going to open it with Internet Explorer. And let's just see, there it is there. There's my title, Hello World. There's Welcome to Hello World, my top title. There's heading 1 in italics and bold. And there's the body. And in my body would be lots of things, maybe a reference to an image and so on and so forth. It's just practice, and I've already emailed you on that basic information of an excellent website to test just the 5 or 6 different tag elements that I think you should know and just get used to. If you can do that, you're going to get some marks. Right, enough of that, I think. Back to our exam question. So this is what it was about. Trying to analyze which was what. I mean, this is a bit tacky from the exam board. What is that? I mean, really. They're trying not to use a brand name, aren't they? So they can't have a print screen of Internet Explorer or Google Chrome. So I don't know if you'll get this type of question again, because this kind of thing, most teachers are anti. They've tried to use some sort of generic looking web browser, but really it's tacky. But anyway, we know that that's the title. So if we go to our HTML, well, we got to open with HTML, and guess what? It's been given to you. Drats, you should have known that and got another mark. But anyway, and there we've ended our HTML. So all of this is encapsulating the HTML. There's the title. RoboEddy homepage. There's the title. Number 3, and the word, the hash top title style, and where we're going to end style. Let's have a look. How soon do we actually / style? Looking for it now. Well, it's not there. So my guess is, and looking at the indentation, that number 4 is /style. You say, what about 3? I'm going for what I can pick up quickly. And that's what you should do too. Don't try to work through it. Look at the indentations. Look at how that's lined up. This is great. This must have been scripted in Notepad++. Now I'm going for that more obscure font style. Look at that. Text align, center. Font size, 18. What is italic? It's a style of font. That could say bold as well. That could say underline. So it's font style. Number 3 is font style. And that you will see so often. Have you ever grabbed, let's have a look, have you ever grabbed any sort of code? If you open up Internet Explorer, let's just have a look. That was Google Chrome, and I can't remember how to do it in Google Chrome, but if you go view and source, you can grab that HTML. There it is there. And experiment with it. It's great fun. Pop this into SharePoint, pop it into Notepad++. You are doing computing, so I would expect you to be constantly scripting and programming, because that's why you chose the course. It's all about constantly exposing yourself to new things as well. Oh look, it's got some JavaScript embedded in there, and usually Notepad++ will turn JavaScript brown. Yeah, so let's pick up stuff that we know. Oh, HTTPS, so secure. HTTP secure. Oh, border bottom, 1px, 1 pixel. 100 pixels. A hash color number there. If I change that to 255, do you know what color it would be? It would be red. You say, how do you know that? Because I muck about with the jolly stuff, and so should you be. Alright, let's enough of that, and let's just move on back to the good old exam. Yep, there it is. Right, so what else? We've got number 5 there. Number 5 is interesting. I wonder if we can skip that and see if there's anything we know. Whoa, body and body. No, body's been closed off there. So this is a list. List 1 is one you're just going to have to learn, and li stands for a list. The funny thing is that this is not a list in any particular order. It's just let's have a look at what it could be in terms of, yeah. Alright, so it's bullet pointed. That's interesting. A bullet pointed list or unordered list, and it's UL, and that's /UL. That's great. We've got something called top title here. Top title is probably going to be, yeah, number 5, because welcome to Robo Eddie is welcome to Robo Eddie. Yeah, top title. Yeah, so all of that font family Arial, see, it's centered aligned. All of that sort of property setup is all pointing to this here. Welcome to Robo Eddie. So that hashtag refers to top title here. So that immediately relates to this. All of that has an impact on this text. Welcome to Robo Eddie. And you can see it. It's been center aligned. Welcome to Robo Eddie. And it's got 12 points as a font. Big for a website. That's why it looks big. So all of these things should help to help you figure it all out. Font family Arial. And is there anything else? Have we missed anything else? Paratext Robo Eddie is an educational robot with the following features. P. Okay, P and end P, so in the paragraph. Yeah, and we can call that a class. Paratext. It's a class or a class object. I've been taught in the past, but here I think they just call it a class. Yeah, number 6 is a class. It's something that's been set up as a property of this particular paragraph. Maybe we need to look at that in the textbook. Or why don't you go scroll through the textbook and tell me more about that. I haven't used class that much when I've done websites, and that'll be interesting to me, because that seems to be something that's been set up that we can use again. Inheritance, of course. I've just remembered, if you set up a particular if you set up a particular feature, like, or element, this is a paragraph, and you give it that class name paratext, you can call it again elsewhere, I believe, or it can be inherited by another page. That's interesting. Wonder if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong, please. I love it when students tell me when I'm wrong, because that means they've been actually learning, and that'd be great. Yeah, so you tell me. And is that the yeah, because then we went into Comp 1 stuff, and quite frankly, Comp 1 mostly done very well. A few of you not practicing, obviously. Your binary, your hex conversion, I dare and say this because I get rusty as well, but it is easy, and you were given the tables. You've got to just remember the tables, sketch them out, and practice. Throw yourself an example. Tell yourself, 86, convert that into binary. And then say, well, what's minus 86, and what's 8.6? And, just throw things at yourself to practice. It's the only way. And get comfortable with binary. It is easy because there is a method. It is easy. It's not like there's no method. Oh, I don't know how to do this. The methods are simple, and I've already emailed them. And I've got more videos on the methods on the Bearwood VLE. I've got those methods already recorded. Right, hope that helps as good and solid feedback for your last test and these exam questions.